not change my pace at all. So if I speak, so it will not be good. So you have to change the pace. Change the pace, change the pause, change the pitch. What is pitch? Pitch?
It's like loud and soft.
Loud and that is volume.
That is the common understanding.
That is the common understanding, but that is only volume. Volume we have to do nothing. These implements, they can increase the volume and reduce the volume. What is pitch? Pitch is the note, like do re mi or sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa. Sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa, sa high pitch, sa low pitch. So this pitch also you must change, because if you speak on the same pitch, then you will sound like a robot. We will do some practice as you have these days. Same. Now, if I were to demonstrate again, now I decide to speak on one note. So I decide, okay, sa, re. So everything I will speak on re. This morning is very nice. We started well in time in order that we reach here, because I have decided not to change the note, so I am compelled to speak on the same note. Now, if I continue more than 1 minute, you will all go to sleep, or you will find very dull. So we must change the pace, the pause, the pitch, emphasis on the keynote, our friend has already said, and finally the tone. Tone is very critical. What is tone? Yes?
Voice.
Pardon? Tone.
Awaz.
Awaz?
Expression.
Expression. Say something more. Tone represents your emotions. Expression is something like that. Anger, cordiality, politeness, that all represent tone. You see, sometimes between husband and wife, the words are okay, balanced, no problems, but tone is not correct.
We can all
Now,
understand.
this happens everywhere. Now, we are training, in fact, I have one-on-one students who come to our learning center just to improve the tone, just to control the tone. You should know what tone to use when. And in fact, what five-star properties we train people, we train primarily in cordiality. Cordiality, which means tone. So the expectations of the guests who stay there and pay 20,000, 30,000 per night are very high. But these guys or girls, they have their limitation. To some limitation, they can adjust to the demands of the guest, but not beyond that. So then they have to maintain their cordiality. Maintaining the cordiality and ability to say no, it's not possible is very difficult. But that is essential. Ability to bring in variance in pace, pause, pitch, emphasis on the keyword and the tone. Now, if you are very articulate, that means you are speaking each word which is understood by people because you are very clear. And if you modulate, that means you bring in variance as per the situation, as per the requirement of the subject, and as per the requirement of a particular sentence. Then you can hold the attention of the audience even after lunch, even for long hours. They will be able to, they'll be attentive, and you can make the whole session very interactive. So, with this, I would request Amit to take you through some exercises so that you start feeling actually. So what we have decided is, 1, deep breathing, deeper breathing. 2, take pause and then breathe. Breathe only at taking pause, and where to take pause? At the end of a clause or at the end of a sentence. 3, use all our speech organs effectively. Since we will be exercising as a demonstration, as an exercise, during exercises you should use them in an exaggerated fashion. Exaggerated means more than necessary. When we go to the gym, heavy weights, we want to build up the muscles. We on the treadmill and all. But in a spa, in a speech spa, we want to loosen our speech organs. They become very flexible, very nimble, so that slight instruction from the brain, they immediately create the voice which we want to listen. So therefore, we have to be excellent listeners. Listen to your own. So you see, by and large, when we are speaking to others, we are listening to others, but we are not listening to ourselves. So you might ask, how is it possible to listen to your own self and to others? It is possible. This grey material inside has tremendous capabilities. So therefore, we also decide that we will listen to ourselves, use our speech organs, modulate. Modulation will give you power to hold the attention of the people, and that's about a little bit of communication. Then we will do later on, after he finishes the presentation, then I'll take you to certain speeches so that each one of you can speak like a leader. There is no problem. And frankly, let me, before sitting down, tell you that I have instances when people, grown-up people, in very good positions, they speak very well, language is very good, but they said we still have a problem. And what is the problem? One person said, look, when I speak on telephone to somebody new, he or she would say, yes, madam. He says, I am not a madam. So the voice is like that of a lady. And conversely, a lady's voice is like that of a man. So which is not so good, and people think that this has been given by God, we have to live with it. This is totally wrong. Voice is dynamic. It can be totally changed. It can be totally changed. You can have a very strong and forceful voice. And I had another girl whose, I thought she was speaking very nicely, her voice was very good. She said, no, I want my voice to be husky. It can be made husky. But though, you have to do the hard work, because it's building up the talent. Okay, thank you very much. Yes.
Should we start with the exercise or the presentation?
So first the presentation.
Just for a moment, I'll join back. Can you check why this Sanjay can, if Sanjay can join? Okay, so tell Sanjay that it is more important for you.
I would first like to take you through the presentation we have prepared. Some of the things have already been covered, but they need to be emphasized so that we are able to take in all these things from this training. First, we had seen how voice is produced.
So now we know how voice is produced, everyone?
Any kind of process, in order to improve the process itself, we need to understand the mechanics of the process, how it actually functions. So as we have seen, we have breath held in our lungs. What we have to say begins in the form of an idea or thought. The brain sends the signals to the lungs. Now this breath is forced out of the lungs, and as it is forced out of the lungs, it strikes the vocal cords. A vocal cord is over here. Even while you are speaking, if you put two fingers here, you will find it vibrates. The vocal cord produces certain sounds, audible sounds which may or may not be understood. Those sounds are known as notes. Now notes are also related to the pitch. As we have already seen, sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa, we are going to practice some of these things as part of this training. Now these notes, when it move upward into the resonators, which are certain cavities in the throat and the nose, these sounds are amplified. What is added is the tone of the voice. We have already seen tone of the voice is related to our emotions. what kind of emotions we are going through at a particular period of time. Generally, it is reflected through the tone of our voice. And finally, these notes in the tone, when they enter into the areas of speech organs, the lips, the jaw, the tongue, the palate and the teeth, they are transformed into words, speech which you and I understand. So for articulation, clarity, in any language we speak, it's important to use the speech organs appropriately. Again, we have certain techniques and activities, exercises which will bring about articulation. Now, what is the importance of a good voice? Basically, a good voice is pleasant to hear. You're talking to someone on the phone, you may not be able to see the other person. Of course, video phones are becoming common these days, but they're still not that common. The tone of the voice travels along with the voice, and it immediately draws that other person towards you or otherwise. Attractiveness in the tone of the voice is again something which can be developed, it should be developed. A good voice, it influences relationships. It reflects the personality. Many a times our voice reaches before we reach another person. This is the age of telecommunications. Many relationships are forged and built, they are developed just by telephonic conversations. So whatever is your personality is first created in the minds of the other person as a perception. You are perceived in a particular way. Positive perceptions can be created by an effective tone of voice. It shows the confidence. If we talk about motivating people, we must sound confident ourselves. Good for physical health. See, people who are physically fit, they have good voices and vice versa. So one way of looking at it is, let us start looking after our voice. It will look after our health. And we'll see how. Good for emotional health. It boosts self-esteem. Now, the importance of the voice, a good voice is like good wine, it matures with age. After a certain age, certain changes do take place in the physical self. But there is one thing which can actually be improved with the passage of time. That is your voice. Now, we have already seen what voice modulation is. Bringing variance in pace, use of pause, pitch, emphasis on the keywords, and varying the tone. The important thing in voice modulation is it's something that needs to become part of your personality. You cannot think about it while you are talking to people. When you are communicating, the most important thing is conveying your message which you are trying to convey. But this thing, voice modulation, is something that really enhances the communication. Now, articulation in speech, how to bring it about. As we have seen, starting each sentence with a breath. Pronouncing each word clearly and completely. Clear and complete pronunciation is also a habit. Many a time we find that people from different parts of the country, they speak different accents. What is an accent? It is just a way of pronouncing certain words. In our training, what we focus is on a neutral accent, also known as a clear or a global accent, which if you develop, you can travel to any part of the world and you talk to anyone in English, he or she, if he has average knowledge of the language, will be able to understand you and also appreciate what you are trying to convey. So what I am saying is, it's not necessary to put on a particular accent. It's what you want to convey that is most important. And that can be brought about through articulation. Speaking sentences. Now this is something which is very obvious, yet it's not a habit which is very commonly formed. Many a times we start a sentence without being sure about what we are trying to convey. Now that is the occasion when the mind starts wandering. If you would have noticed it, the eye contact is lost, and then people start thinking or figuring out ways by which they can complete the sentence. The ability to speak sentences will also ensure that whatever you want to say will be spoken using fewest words possible. Efficiency in the use of words will be brought about. Pausing between sentences, we have seen that. Now something about the posture. It's also given in the booklet provided. For ensuring that your voice and speech, your communication is effective, your body posture is also extremely important. The way you sit, the way you stand. It's the body posture which determines the amount of breath you are able to take in. People who normally sit or stand erect are able to take in larger amounts of breath. What are the common faults on the posture? Slumping. You know, if a person is, the spine is not straight, that is slumping. Round shoulders. See, if you want to take a deep breath, your shoulders must be held back. You can take a deep breath like this. But if you have a rounded shoulder, taking a deep breath becomes difficult. Now, many of these things we don't even think about. Our entire focus is on doing our work. But these are very common things which make a big difference in our overall physical health and in our work. Pushing the torso forward, shoulders, this upper part of it. So now, if your body posture is not erect, then it puts pressure on the back and you are not able to take in larger amounts of breath. You can just realize it. Everyone, as you are sitting, okay, like in your case, you're sitting like this, okay. Try to take a deep breath in this position. Or now straighten your this thing and now take a deep breath.
Magic. But I have a question. So when we are in meetings, we are talking to people, then I personally felt that torso forward is my natural reaction when I am aggressive or how to say, trying to convey my message very emphatically. But this may be wrong.
Can we answer?
Yes, please.
See, in fact, you have never to be aggressive. Your words, the way you speak, that will convey your power.
So I can sit.
You can sit. Straight means yes, but there should not be any stiffness. Sit, remain relaxed, and yes, then you can talk, Mrs. So-and-so, well, I think you are right, but this is another way of looking at it. And if you choose your words effectively, and if you modulate, the impact it will create will be much more than, yes, but I don't agree with you. Or even, no, but I don't agree with you. Immediate reaction is no good. Measured words. Verbosity should be avoided by all means. Verbosity means when you use more words. I think we have to learn from Japanese. They use very, you must be advising me how they use the language.
So forward torso is not desirable for effective communication.
I wouldn't say that. In the mechanics, as Amit has pointed out, it will make your breath shorter in the mechanics. But I wouldn't say like if you forward torso you can't speak clearly or no. That's only thing is the premise is that you should take deep breath. That will be a little bit different. Please, I'm sorry.
As we have seen also the Japanese, I think there is a tradition, there is a culture, they bow, but then they again become stand.
That we have to learn from him.
Yes. We have more like this.
Yes.
I got it. Thank you.
Now, a few things about body language. Of course, some of these things you may be aware of earlier already. Eye contact is something which ensures that each and every person feels that you are communicating with him or her. This is particularly true in presentations which are made before smaller groups. But even if you get a chance to stand up on stage and deliver a presentation in front of a large audience, even then you should look at large sections of the audience from time to time, so that everyone feels that you are communicating to them. In Hindi there is a very common phrase कि नजरें मिला के बात करो, so it means a lot. Posture we have already discussed. Now the head position is something which it again influences your overall posture and the flow of the breath. In English there is a saying that you should always keep your chin up. That figuratively it means that we should always be very self-confident. But from the voice point of view, it is always desirable to have your chin parallel to the ground. The nose should not be in the air, but the chin should be held up. It's something which helps your articulation. This is particularly true when you are reading out a speech. Let's say on a podium you have placed some papers. The common tendency is to read like this. Now this has two disadvantages. The disadvantage number one is that you are not able to make eye contact with the audience. You are not able to look at the audience because you are busy looking at the paper. The second disadvantage is it affects your lower jaw movements. Words which you require to open your jaws are difficult to pronounce. And there are many such words. For example, words which begin with AC and AD, they require stretching your jaws. For example, act, 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 advantage, or adeka, adeka, adeka. So you need to stretch your jaws. If you don't stretch your jaws, the pronunciation of that word is affected. Now, while we are using our voice, our speech, our communication, it's these little things which add up to a lot. The difficulty you will face while communicating using your voice and speech, it adds some kind of a psychological burden, a load on the shoulders, which makes your job to deliver the message, what you are trying to sell or what you are trying to offer, that much more difficult. Now, the main thing to understand is that it is far more difficult to handle the external factors, whatever is happening at the client's end, what he is going through or what are the economic general conditions. But the things which we can manage internally, that is something we should start thinking about first and start managing it, because it doesn't take that much. And that is what we are here to do today. Talking about the arms, movement of the arms should not be such that you feel very restricted or stiff. Some small graceful movement of the arms. The legs are the furthest away. Some people, they advocate that a moving presentation is advocated, but that is something which can be done only by people who have a lot of experience in delivering presentations. If we are not used to delivering presentations much, the best thing is to stay rooted to wherever we are and ensure that there are no involuntary movements. Now, what are involuntary movements? Movements which we are not aware of. Some people, they move from side to side, or some people, they move forward, backward. These are involuntary movements. The body angle, if it is held straight, we have certain exercises for improving the body posture. We will cover them as well. How we can maintain a erect body posture. The hand gestures and physical distance, if we are talking one-to-one, typically about 3 feet is more than sufficient. If it is a longer distance, then it can be considered little impersonal. If it is closer, it can be looked at otherwise. Now, stage fright is also a very important aspect where you are delivering a presentation in front of a boardroom-sized audience or a larger audience. Stage fright, basically, if there are a number of pages on stage fright which we are going to cover, maybe we'll read out some of those pages. In our training, what we want to achieve is understand what stage fright is, how it can be managed, how it can be overcome. Because it's not necessarily a bad thing. Stage fright is something that you can channelize to your advantage, make it work for you, and find that your presentation has that kind of energy and pep which the audience is looking for and which they appreciate. We will see the physical symptoms, how to recognize stage fright when it starts appearing. The intellectual changes which go on. A person who is experiencing stage fright, his focus shifts from the communication which he is supposed to deliver, and some other kind of thoughts go on in the mind. We will have a look at those. Heightened feeling is very important. It is what ensures that you are able to make the most of the occasion. We'll see what heightened feeling is. Now, these are the causes of stage fright, which we will look at in detail. Faulty evaluation. Inadequate preparation is the single biggest reason for stage fright. Intensification of feelings. And approach avoidance conflict, where we postpone what we are supposed to do. We postpone what is supposed to be done today, it's postponed for tomorrow. The pressure increases. Now, these are some of the reasons, ways to prevent stage fright. We evaluate the situation, where we are, what we are hoping to achieve. We prepare, have confidence in the subject matter. Now, confidence in the subject matter ensures that whatever you are very sure about what you are trying to convey. Confidence in the subject matter means that there is no self-doubt in your mind on what is being offered. Interest in the subject matter is equally important, because what happens sometimes, making the same presentation again and again, it results in some kind of loss of enthusiasm, or that a little dullness or slackness comes about. So we have to ensure that we are really interested in what we are trying to offer, the presentation we are making. Movement should be controlled, shifting focus of attention. Many a times when we are delivering a presentation, what goes on in our mind is how the person is reacting, or whether he is understanding or not, whether he will take the right decision to make the purchase or not. These are the kind of things. Unnecessary worries or anxieties go on in the mind. Now, rather than that, your entire focus should be on ensuring that the message is delivered. What is the requirement of the individual? What is the communication that needs to be delivered to him? And we are going to look at this again in detail. Practice is something which brings about everything. Should we continue or do the exercise?
No, you can continue, complete your presentation so that you really know what we are going to do. And meanwhile, if they have any question at any time.
Preparation of the speech. Now, if this is true for a speech, it is also true for a small presentation.
Or negotiation.
You determine what is the general purpose. Before every meeting, when you are going to meet a client, there must be a predefined purpose in your mind of what you are hoping to achieve. It need not be necessarily closing the sale as such, but then there should be, the meeting should have a purpose. And analyze your speech, your presentation, your communication, what you are wanting to deliver. Analyzing your speech basically boils down to just having a few clear points on what you are going to offer during the presentation. Sometimes it so happens in a meeting, in a presentation, you are supposed to convey some important things. One or two things just get missed out. Afterwards you realize, hey, this was something what I had to say. Now preparing for a meeting doesn't take that much. It doesn't even take a fanciful presentation. Even if you have a small cue card, you can just, at the back of your business card, you can write down some important points. Even one word is enough to signify one point, so that you don't miss out on anything. Sometimes an opportunity comes once after a great deal of effort, a lot of follow-up, you have been able to fix a meeting with that one key decision maker. So it's very important that at that moment you make the most out of it. Focusing on specific topic, researching the topic. Now I am sure each one of you knows your subject very well. But along with that, there is also a certain amount of research which goes into, that is the researching the client, his requirements, the competitors, the analysis, these things I'm sure you must be doing. Recording the evidence, constructing the outline. This is what I mentioned, that for any kind of presentation, whether you have a PowerPoint or even if you are speaking without a PowerPoint presentation, if you have constructed an outline, your entire presentation will flow accordingly. The best thing is first to start from the overall, the broad picture, and then go down to the specifics. Purpose sentence is the overall objective, the idea. Main head and subheads of the presentation, these are part of the various slides. Rehearsal, it's very important. You may have delivered the entire presentation over and over again, you may be aware of the subject, but there is always a better way of delivering a presentation. When you rehearse, you continue your efforts to find the more efficient way in order to communicate, deliver your presentation, make yourself more effective. See, once you make an effective presentation, second time you make your presentation little more effective, it gives a lot of personal satisfaction. The feeling of self-growth that you are doing in what you are trying to do also comes through your communication. So start the preparation well in time. Don't wait till the last moment. Go through several rehearsals. Prepare an outline of the main points. While delivering the speech, there are different methods of delivery, which are, one is the manuscript method, where everything is written out. You are just reading it out. But even while you are reading it out, there is a way to read out a speech, which we are going to see. We are going to go through various speeches from world famous personalities, which we will have to read out in a particular way. Memorizing method is one level higher. You have written out the entire speech and now you have actually memorized it. You are delivering it as if you have thought about those ideas at that moment, but it's something that you have memorized. This requires a lot of very keen and sharp memory. The third method is the extemporaneous method, where you have some points. It's something like this. The points are listed out on the slide, and I am looking at the slides and talking about it. The last and the most difficult is the impromptu method, where you are in a very short period of time, maybe 5-10 minutes. You are supposed to collect your thoughts, package them together, and deliver the presentation. Now we are also going to practice the impromptu method today, both the number 3 and 4. Another aspect of delivering the speech is mastery over the vocal aspects. We have already seen that, speaking at the right volume. This morning we have introduced ourselves to the important subject of voice modulation. So far our common understanding is that if you want to vary the voice, you either speak loudly or you speak softly. But there is a lot more that you can do with your voice rather than just speaking softly and loudly. When that becomes part of your personality, you really realize what you have been missing out. Varying the pitch, watching your speaking rate, using articulation, pause, all these things we have seen. Now, speaking to inform. I've been given to understand that as part of your sales process, there is a lot of information dissemination you need to do, creating awareness in the market, and a lot of meetings, meeting the people, making them aware of what you are offering, what are the kind of possibilities that people can do with your product. Now, beginning an informative speech requires gaining the attention of the audience. The most important thing is that when you are beginning a presentation, make sure you have the whole undivided attention of your audience. If anyone is distracted at the beginning of the presentation, it will be very difficult to keep his focus as the presentation unfolds. Now, building interest in the topic, again it comes from going from the general to the specifics. Previewing the topic, establishing your ethos. In your case, it's not difficult at all. You are part of a very large Japanese multinational. But again, it's for you to bring out in the minds of the prospects that all that your organization is, particularly your parent organization in Japan, the kind of facilities and you're having and offering, manufacturing facilities, etc. Imparting the message of an informative speech, maintaining the audience attention. Reacting to audience feedback is very important. Now, audience feedback comes in a variety of ways. It comes through the verbal, the non-verbal communication, which is especially the body language. Whenever you are delivering a presentation, you should always look at each and every member of the audience, trying to figure out which person is interested in the presentation, which person is absorbing or trying to absorb what is being said. And if you find that any person is not that attentive or that interested, you should find a way to engage that person so that he does not feel left out. Now, this may or may not apply. There are many technicalities which you need to offer as part of your presentation. But again, those technicalities can be offered in a more interesting, effective and appealing manner through voice modulation. Personalize your speech. The conclusion, something to remember and carry away. For us, in this training program, the most important thing is what you can carry away from this training. What you are going to continue to practice. So this is something which your presentation will be remembered by. Now, speaking to motivate and persuade, three things are always mentioned by Mr. Satish Kakri. One is ethos, the other is pathos, and the third one is logos. Would you like to tell them something about it?
Yeah.